What's up, y'all? Welcome back to MSG. Today is episode 2 of our engine teardown. What are we going to be doing today, Dad?
That's right, episode 2, engine teardown. You better have watched episode 1 or you missed key points. So today we are going to get all of the accessories, if you will, off the block. So our motor mounts, mixing manifold, power steering bracket. We're going to pull the pulleys, crank sensor, water neck. Probably going to leave the heat exchanger on and oil filter on the other side. Maybe we'll pull it off, but just to keep that closed off until we're ready to strip everything down. But if not, we'll do that in a separate video. But otherwise, clean the block off, leave the head. That'll be the next video. We may pull the valve cover. More than likely we'll leave it for the next one. So let's get to it. Motor mounts first, then we'll get to the mixing manifold, power steering bracket, and so on. We'll see where we get from there. But as always, when we take the bolts out, where do we put them, Kat?
Put it in a bag, label it.
And why do we put it in a bag and label it?
So we know where it goes when we rebuild it.
Exactly, because we're not taking it off and putting it right back on. Could be months before we get back to this, depending on the machine shop's time frame, our time frame, things like that. So we're not going to remember where it all goes, so it's good to have everything labeled accordingly. So let's start with the motor mounts. These are 14s. Some of them are already missing from when they pulled the motor for us, so there's bolts here. If you can't figure that out, you take them out as well. These are 14s, so let's break them loose first. I always like to break the bolts loose before I put an impact or anything on it, because if you break a bolt off in the block, you're gonna have a bad time. Ready? You wanna break them loose?
Oh, I gotta try.
Okay, hold it towards you.
This
Yep. Go.
Wait.
Ready?
No, we're taking the whole thing with us. No! Come on! Ah, my hand's getting squished.
Watch out.
You got this.
Alright.
I lost my hand there.
Ready? Push down. Go.
Wait, I'm pushing down. Oh my god. Almost lost my head.
Ready? Push down.
Again?
Yep.
Definitely doing all the work there.
Alright, let's spin them out. Alright.
Thank you.
I did both sides. It's okay. It's the same. You just take the bolts out. And then, show them the bag.
Oh.
What's it say?
Motor mounts.
We can read.
I think.
There's our motor mounts. I'm not going to take these off right now, but obviously there's a bolt on the inside to get the actual rubber off. We'll address that when we decide what we're doing for motor mounts. Okay, on to the mixing manifold. There is 2 bolts. These are 12s, I believe. One here, one here. We have to get this out of the way. There would be a nut here if the exhaust was on. It goes on that stud there to hold it in place. So we have to get this out of the way. Obviously this has to come off too, but the reason we're going to take the mixing manifold off first, let me show you. Let's see if you can see this. All right, Kat, check this out. You see this bolt right here?
Yeah. Oh, what?
So right here.
How do we get that?
That's the question. So you see everything's in the way. If we were to grab, so it's a 14, but to get to it, you don't really have a lot of room, and you're gonna need some kind of leverage here, because you know, they can't make things easier when they engineer these things. They always gotta put one bolt that really gets you. So that's gonna be our fun one. All right, let me put this down for now. So like I said, one bolt to make our lives difficult, so we're gonna get the mixing manifold off first. Let's do it. All right, you got a bolt here and a bolt here. Let's get this one out first down here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Like me? Oh. But yeah. Is it dragging it instead.
Go ahead. Go. Got it. Ready?
No, I don't got it.
All right, ready?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Did all the work.
All right, do the top one. Okay, ready? Push, hold it, and push down. Go. Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Almost.
Easy peasy. Pop. It's got a gasket on it, so it's gonna be stuck. Oh, little pry on it just a little bit. Be careful with your crank sensor wire, and that's off. There you go. That is dirty. We gotta clean that.
Oh yes, best part.
All right, we'll put that to the side. Let's bag that up. Actually, we'll bag that in a second. All right, now we gotta break these loose. So, these are going to be fun. Obviously, like I said, this bottom one is going to be a pain. All right, so before we can get that bolt out though, another trick we can use kept.
Magic.
Because you still can't get a lot of wrench on it. Let's break these loose. Okay, go ahead. Go. Let's make sure they're the same length. Okay. Now the fun part. We still have to get to this bolt. It does not turn very much. So, wrench. Try it.
Okay.
See if you can get the bolt loose.
Go. Oh my god. I thought you were joking.
All right.
Ah, I tried.
All right. Depending on how the bolt ended up tightened there, you know, if the bolt was sitting about here, we'd be able to get it loose and then start working it. But because of where it's angled, I can't. You could technically grind this down if you needed to. I have a couple modified wrenches for things like this. But if you're lucky, you can this is just a bushing pivot, if you will. It should come out. So let me show you that. But before we get to that, we're gonna put this bolt back in here to hold it. All right. What you're gonna need.
Oh yeah.
2 hammers. All right, you see how, check this out, Kat. See how there's a groove here?
A groove? Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
it stops there. We have to break it loose. What you should do is spray it with some PV Blaster.
Don't get on me.
Gotcha. All right, now we're gonna rest this up against it and hope that it slides out. You ready?
Oh yeah. Wait, no. I'm gonna guess.
There it goes. Come here, bud. Come on.
I'm coming.
Say hi.
Hi.
Stand over here. This is Julian. If y'all could just tell him to get into cars too, that'd be great, because then we could all do this. But he's not there yet. But he's just playing in the background. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, watch out, bud. All right, this fits down in there. We're gonna. There you go.
How did that happen?
It's out. And there it is. So now, can we get to the bolt, Cat?
Yas queen.
What? All right. And just like the other ones, we break it loose. So, like I said, this little guy right here goes in here. If you're lucky and it's not seized in there, you should be able to tap this out. If you can't, you're gonna have to use the wrench method. You might have to grind your wrench. It sucks, but this does come out. Obviously, to go back in, we'll have to tap it back in, or we'll probably just use a vise of some sort. But we'll get to that when we get to it. This will go in the parts bag so we don't lose it, so we know it goes with this. Obviously, we're gonna clean it up. All right, dipstick, just pull up and wiggle on it. Straight, 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 straight. There you go. Dipstick is out. Very difficult. Put that to the side. So don't do what I did and break your crank sensor by leaning into it by accident. But it's a 10 millimeter bolt, so we'll just save that. Put that in a bag. This was, I mean, in my defense, this was probably no good anyway. I really barely touched it, and it was probably broken already, honestly, because I barely touched it and the ear broke off. But be careful with that. Don't do that unless you want to buy another one. But if you need to, it don't matter. Let's turn this so you can see onto the front. All right, so now we have to get the pulleys off. We're gonna get these timing covers off and get rid of this water neck. And I'll show you what's underneath there. Do you know what's underneath here? A belt. Something like that. All right, so let's start with the pulleys. I already took the crank sensor off that I broke.
Good job.
That was dumb. So pulleys, here you go. These you can do with this. Right now. They should come. Those real quick.
There's a big fat bowl in the middle.
Don't worry about that. Hold it.
I didn't know I was gonna do that.
Okay. All right. All right. There's that. All right. Grab this with 2 hands and wiggle it off. Good job.
That's heavier than you think.
And this, same thing.
This is your timing wheel here.
Oh yeah.
If it gets hard to take off, just it's probably built up with crud on there, so just get that off. All right. See these little marks?
Yeah.
That's what that sensor reads as it goes by for your timing. We'll go over that later. All right. Next is our covers, but we're gonna bag up those bolts first. Stand by. All right. Normally I break the major bolts loose, but these are all should be pretty loose. Let me back up. I'm too close. Is this close enough? Can you see? Cat, can they see it?
Yeah, I think they can.
All right. All right, we're gonna get all these 10 millimeters out. So. Okay.
Ah.
All right. See our belt?
Yeah.
All right, all that's left on this side, obviously there was a motor mount here. We took that off. We're gonna take the oil sensor here out. Same thought process. This can go either way, so we can't do it that way. I may have broken it loose just now. Don't worry. That's it. We're gonna pull that out. That's fine. All right. Don't do that on your real car. I'm not reusing this filter, so it doesn't matter. There's that. All right. On this here, I drained it, but there's still some in there. So let me put a bucket. Okay, I got a bucket. Okay, in here. Save the environment. All right. Like I said, I'm not gonna take this off just yet, not until I'm essentially ready to take it off the engine stand. But in here, see that big socket behind you, Kat? Big one. Big one. The gigantic one next to your hand. It is literally touching you.
Where do... Oh.
Big one. All right, so in here is a nut that's gonna hold your heat exchanger on here. It's a 29 millimeter. I had to order one. Of all the obscure things I have, I do not have a 29 millimeter. But that's gonna go in there. You're gonna pop that loose, and that's gonna be able to, you're gonna be able to take this off. I will show you that when we actually do it. Also, when you take this off, if you're not going to reuse it, I'm not going to. I want to eliminate points of coolant leaking. I've had 2 coolant leaks on this car that I've chased. They were very small, but they were enough to be annoying. You could smell it. It was one of those things, and both were from hoses. One on this hose, one on this hose. I've had 3, but different hoses, but both these hoses were leaking at one point. I don't really think you need this. That's up to you, depending on who you talk to. Some say you do, some say you don't. I'm getting rid of it. We may run an external oil cooler, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So if you're not going to, you can actually pull this stud out as well. We'll go over that later on how to do that and swap it out for the 1.6 one, which is shorter. Otherwise, it's too long and you will have to account for this space. So I do have to decide what we're going to do as far as aftermarket oil cooler or not. If we're not going to, this will come out. It's going to come out anyway for when we take it to the machine shop so they can clean everything. But we'll go over that later. But this, you pop that out. But as you can see, there's still oil in here. So until it's completely stripped, we're going to use that. Whoa! I missed.
I see that.
To keep that under control. All right. Now for some upsetting news. Let me spin you. All right, like I said, time for the upsetting part. Upsetting because of what I found when we pulled the covers off. If you have a VVT, if you've taken them apart before, you know that this plate here has to come off to get this cam sprocket gear, if you will, off. Unfortunately, the previous owner stripped every single one of these in their attempt. So now we get to drill these out. So we're gonna have a video dedicated to just that because I'm pretty upset right now. And that's more work I gotta do. But that's why I didn't wanna just drop this motor in and run it. I wanted to go through it because you never know what you're gonna get. So it is what it is. So next video will be, we're not gonna take this off because I'm not taking any of this off yet. I'm not even gonna pull the valve cover off because I need to make sure I have everything I need, the right size easy out from prior times, including building on this car, drilling out stripped bolts. I have to make sure that my drill bit that fits in there is not broken or worn out. So I gotta prep a couple things, so that'll be next. One of our next videos is gonna be how to remove your stripped out bolts. So until then, I think this is a good stopping point. We got the block pretty much stripped minus the heat exchanger. And I don't want to necessarily pull all this off yet because I do want to show Kat how this all works visually when the cover off, so we'll do that next. I will show Kat obviously how to take all this off, which this is going to be a service thing later, which she'll have to learn how to do because these belts wear out and you have to replace them. So otherwise, I think we're good for the day.
Marvelous.
We're gonna call that it. That is episode 2.
Dose.
As always, like
And subscribe.
MSG Belt on YouTube and on Instagram. You can follow us there as well. We really appreciate all y'all's support. We hope you enjoyed this tidbit of information, mostly on how to get off your power steering bracket, if you still have it. We are going to keep the power steering because Kat doesn't need any extra strain when turning, and since she's learning, and I appreciate it. So if we ever get to that point, we'll do that, but for now the plan is to keep the power steering unless we are convinced otherwise, but I don't foresee that happening. So we still have a little ways to go before this is ready for the machine shop. Like I said, slow process. I want to teach her every little thing. We want to show y'all everything. So, like we said, like, subscribe, follow, do all the cool things, and we will see y'all in the next one.